Good afternoon, folks. Thanks for joining us. Welcome. Hi, everyone.
Good morning.
Hi, folks. Thanks for joining us. Welcome. Got people flooding in now. Hello, everyone. It's nice to see you all here. Thank you for joining.
Afternoon, everybody. Good to see you all. Really looking forward to this.
Perfect. Yeah, we've got lots of people coming in. Hi, Roselle. Hi, Helena. From a sunny Kent. Well, hello from a sunny Alton. It's quite sunny here, although a bit chilly. Right, well, I think we have most people in now. We'll kick off and make a start. Well, hello, everybody, and a very big warm welcome to all of you for this virtual tour coming to you live from Mindo in Ecuador. My name is Sarah Frost. I'm NatureTrek's marketing manager, speaking to you from Hampshire. And just a few miles away from me is NatureTrek's general manager, Andy Tucker, who oversees the organization of many of our tours in Europe and South America, including all of our tours to Ecuador. Also joining us from just under 6,000 miles away is our good friend Andrea in Mindo. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Mindo, which is the area that we're visiting today, this is a mountainous valley in northern Ecuador located on the western side of the Andes. And this is where two of the most biologically diverse ecoregions in the world meet, the Toucan lowlands and the tropical Andes. And this area is known not only for its superb bird watching, but also for many butterfly, orchid and plant species, which can be found in the surrounding cloud forest. And of course, we enjoy much of this on our NatureTrek tours, which visit here, such as the Andes and Amazon tour or our Cock of the Rock holiday. And we're going to have just under an hour of escapism there today, bird watching with Andrea. So if you have any questions throughout the tour, please do pop them in the Q&A section and we'll put them to Andrea when we can. And so many of you have written into us telling us how much you're enjoying these tours, particularly for those of you who are working. I know many of you are joining us on your lunch break today, which I think is wonderful. And hopefully this is a lovely way for you to finish off the working week. It's not long to the weekend now, but the huge morale boost that this has brought to our guides who are involved in all of these virtual tours is immeasurable. And they're back to having a sense of purpose, which we've mentioned already, and it's a completely free tour. But if you'd like to leave a donation or a tip, then there'll be an opportunity to do so at the end of the tour. And we'll be really grateful for anything that you would like to donate. It'll be split equally between NatureTrek to meet our costs and Andrea and her helpers. So without further ado, we'll step back and hand over. Andrea, first of all, good morning to you. I know it's just gone 7 a.m. over there, so thank you very much for the early start. Please introduce yourself for our viewers and show us your surroundings, and let's see what you have in store for us.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning from Ecuador. It is a pleasure for me to join you in this virtual trip. As you mentioned, we are from a location nearby Mindo. We are about 20 minutes away from the main city of the population of Mindo. It is a beautiful morning right here, a little bit cold, but it's almost the end of the rainy season. Light is perfect. This is the locally and popularly named cloud forest. So it's a pleasure for us to try to show you a little bit of the specialty target birds of the Chocó bioregion. We're going to be working through these 45 minutes in order to try to show you some special birds like toucans, barbets, tanagers, and hummingbirds. This is a paradise for all these birds. It's a bit chilly, as I mentioned before. We are 8 degrees, and but light is really good. So as Sarah mentioned, my name is Andrea Molina. I'm the local guide for Ecuador for NatureTrek. I've been leading trips for them since 2013. I actually started to become a guide, but I decided to work in nature since the very beginning. So I moved for 5 years to a lodge in the cloud forest. So for me, this is second home. And then I've been starting to do birding trips all over Ecuador. So I'm going to show you a little bit of this special spot. Right now, we have one of the wonderful birds coming to the banana. So we're going to try to switch the camera and show you a little bit. Okay, we're going to the banana feeders. There you go. We have a couple of tanagers. Right now we have golden tanager on the left, and there's a blue-winged mountain tanager on the right-hand side. Banana feeders are very close to me. I'm just about 3 or 4 meters away. I will show you later where I am, according with the feeders. Right now we have a golden-nape tanager, the one that is showing us the back. Bananas is a favorite food for those birds. But tanagers especially can be all day long, but we are starting early in order to catch, as I mentioned, the toucans and barbets. Golden tanagers on the left-hand side. We are in an altitude of 2,100 meters, so it's not really low. Coming to the left-hand side, we have blue-winged mountain tanager. You can compare the sizes of these two tanagers. Golden is around 13 centimeters, meanwhile blue-winged mountain is 16, 19. Usually blue-winged mountain tanagers are the ones that lead the mixed flocks. So when you have this special call, different birds will come around. We are in just at the side of a gravel road. I will try to show you later. And it's a sort of huge trail. On the left-hand side, we have dusky bush tanager, the one with gray head and olive body. You can easily see it, how they love the bananas.
This is great, Andrea. Are you able to show us where the camera is that's on all of these tanagers here? Are you able to show us your surroundings a little bit?
Yeah, I'm going to move just a little bit using the computer. Showing my back to the feeders. I'm not sure if you're on the screen right now, let me know. There, the red one, you can see the hummingbird feeders. And right behind it, you can probably see a bamboo cane. That is where the bananas are. There, now I'm on screen. So we have hummingbird feeders right here, as I mentioned before, 2-3 meters away. And in the back, it's a bit blurry with this light, but you can see the yellow dots. That's where the tanagers are. So I'm using a computer, as I mentioned. This is the main yard and the entrance, the big gray square, that's the gate. So very close. At the moment, we have a couple of people right now there too. So I'm not going to be able to move too much. I don't want to interrupt people by birding, but I'm going to try to show you as much as I can. I was telling you about myself a little bit. So I'm from Quito, but I've been guiding all in these natural places for a long time. I'm really happy to run trips for Nature Trek. This is a wonderful area, not just for tanagers, hummingbirds, but for special things like birds like cock of the rock, for example, umbrella birds around. This is also Hummingbird's paradise. In a tour, as mentioned, maybe 8-10 days, you can easily see from 30 to 50 different species. Lots of endemic. We were talking about the Chocó bioregion. So it starts in the Darien in Panama and then spans along the coast through Colombia and ends here northwest of Ecuador. But in the central part of Ecuador, it joins with a different bioregion named the Tumbesian, and that goes to Peru. So it makes a wonderful hotspot. So for conservation, it's just fantastic. We are facing northwest. It means that we're basically facing the Pacific Ocean. The reason, because this is called the cloud forest, is because all that condensation that comes from the Pacific Ocean collides against the Andes and makes that condensation, and you have the cloudy effect, which is beautiful, not just important for birds and different things in the ecosystem, but also for scenery. So for taking photography, talking about landscape, it's fantastic. I was mentioning also that this is almost the end of the rainy season. We don't have really seasons in Ecuador. We have rainy and less rainy, or rainy and sunny, but usually happens that gets drier around May, June, July, and it starts to be rainy again, really rainy, November, December, January. Things have changed, of course, like all over the world, but the weather on the day, every day is like this. Nice in the morning, can get misty midday, and then cloudy in afternoon, usually rainy at night.
That's great, Andrea. I'll just stop you there because we've got some really nice birds on the Hummingbird feeder here. So I'm just going to switch the camera over And oh, they're just gone. But perhaps you could tell us what we're seeing here.
I have it in the screen right now. There.
Now I'm connected.
Yeah, now I'm connected, and we have a buff-tailed coronet sitting on the left-hand side. Look at those white puffy boots. Another time with the same coronet. A very easy trick to identify these coronets. This group is when they land, they flip the wings up just for seconds, so it's very easy to tell that it's a coronet. Two of them right now.
Lovely fawn-breasted brilliant. It's just perched behind the sugar water for a second there before it flew off. We'll see one again shortly. I'm sure it's going to land again.
Yeah, right now we have a bunch of coronets right there.
There's
a piercer that just landed there, masked flower piercer. Look at that beautiful mask with a red eye. This is a sort of opportunistic bird. It just balances the feeder in order to catch some nectar. Right behind with a white collar, that is a gorgeted sun angel. There, you can see a little bit the color of the throat. What hummingbirds do, it is refract and refract the light. So the feather is working as like a prism. That's why you have beautiful reflection once in a while, iridescence.
Andrea, you and Pancho have done a great job with the lighting this morning, because we struggled a little bit on the hummingbirds in the last virtual tour we did in Ecuador, but we're just getting a superb view now of these birds. You've done a great job. I remember one of my favorite comments from the previous virtual tour we did, it was a client wrote that the gorgeous sun angel looked like a cross between a ring owl and a butterfly. I love that description. An Ecuador endemic, of course, a very special bird to see this morning.
Yeah, this is a Toucan endemic, yes, and I totally agree. Hummingbirds are like little jewels. It depends on the angle of the light. That's why it's very tricky. You can see the same bird with different angles and we look like a new species. So with hummingbirds, you'll never get bored. There's a fawn-breasted region that just landed there. You can see that it has a little different bill. It has a decurved shape. On the left-hand side, you have the gorgeous sun angel once again. See, from this angle, it looks like a dark green bird. But then when it turns around and faces at you, you have the beautiful magenta color in the throat. Flower piercer just came very quickly too.
And Andrea, just a few minutes ago, before we switched to the hummingbird camera, there was a bird which was whistling in the background very loudly. What was that?
Whistling. Sorry, no, I didn't get it. But toucans are around, so probably that's.
Hopefully we'll hear it again.
Yeah, let me know because there's so many things going on right now. Oh, we got a switch camera for some tanagers right now. We have the Clotus pingus in the middle, or dusky bush tanager, golden neck tanager on the left, and a golden on the right-hand side. So I was mentioning before that bananas are set all day long. Yeah, in the morning is always good, but you can expect to hear this activity no matter what time.
Can we switch back to the hummingbird feeder a second? I think there's a sylph and a velvet purple coronet.
I did see it for a while. Yeah, there you go. No, you have an Empress Brilliant on the left-hand side. A long pointing tail. If you check the forehead, it's bright green on top. And on the right-hand side, you have a velvet purple coronet. You're right. It's not the best angle to show the beautiful colors, but when it just moves a little bit, you have the turquoise purple. Now is better. Hey, there you go. Now it's on the left-hand side. It was perching the little branch behind. So you have a better reflection of the iridescence now. And on the right-hand side in the back, you have a tiny hummingbird with a strong eyebrow. That's a speckled hummingbird. The substandard it's in the bottle, it's a combination of sugar and water. 3 parts of water, 1 part of sugar. And of course, they are attracted by the colors. So red and yellow are like natural flowers. Just in case you're thinking about that, this is not a good idea because of pollination. It's not. It's just an easier spot for them to find food. But I'm surrounded by flowers. There's a beautiful garden here. And they are definitely going to prefer native flowers instead of this bottle. This is just making it easier for them. They are used to, they have wonderful memory, so they know that there's food there, but they are going to keep going back to flowers. Besides, hummingbirds also feed on protein, so they will get them from tiny insects, spiders especially. When it's rainy, hummingbird feeders, the bottles are fantastic to attract hummingbirds. You can see them easily because we're nicely covered with a roof. But if it's a nice sunny morning, they will always move to the flowers. If they are nesting, they are going to move to flowers. In the back, left-hand side, we have a fawn-breasted brilliant. It's a bit covered with a bottle, but you can see that color, the peach colored throat. That means that it's a male fawn-breasted brilliant. Right-hand side, we had a violet ear very quickly. It just left. Speckled hummingbird arrived again. There is a lesser violet ear that is flitting around in the back of the bottle, but doesn't get perched. There you go. Can you see that purple stripe crossing the face? We're going to change for a different camera right now. I think the toucan are coming closer. There's a brush finch, sorry, on the left. Chestnut cap brush finch right now. Look at a beautiful crown and the combination with the pure white throat. These are birds that are usually around bushes, shrubs, understory, but they just take advantage of nice and easy food. We have hundreds of species of tanagers in Ecuador. I was telling you about the different size. Usually in high elevation mountains, we have bigger tanagers. That's why they're named mountain tanagers. But while we move to lower elevation, we start to see the tropical species are tiny, but much more colorful. Same thing with tanagers. It's just nice to have them around the bananas and easy for us, but they are going to move to trees in order to catch lots of berries and insects as well.
So how many types of tanagers do you expect to see in a day, Andrea? You were sitting watching there for a morning.
Around these feeders, you can easily spot 8 to 15 species, depending on the time that you spend in front of the feeders. Some of them are rare visitors, but in a day I will set 12. It's maybe average number. Some of them are going to be there all the time, like golden tanagers are the first ones that arrive, but there are some that just come, take a little piece of banana and keep moving. Remember that we are looking or waiting for a bigger bird. For toucans, whenever the bigger birds come to feed, they will scare the little birds, tanagers, away. There you go. We could change for hummingbirds. We have a coronet right now, showing us the back. First brilliant. Sitting on a branch behind the feeder, you can see the long pointing tail and that heavy bill, straight and longer than the cornets. Speckled tanagers on the left-hand side. Hummingbirds are just fantastic. This is the only bird that can fly backwards in nature. So that's why it's sort of aerobic flying whenever it comes around. Are very fast too. That's why you have seconds to describe them. And that's why the feeders are so useful, because these details, you won't catch them in nature. We were talking about these white puffy boots on the left-hand side in the coronet. Remember that we are in a high elevation. I was talking about 2,000 meters above sea level. So this kind of variation, it is to protect them against the cold weather. We have officially reported 137 species of hummingbirds in Ecuador. The total of species in the world is 340. So you can just imagine the number of species that you can get here in the country. Some of them are not so easy. Some of them will find them just in forest. Some have special details in order to get food. For example, sidebills or even hermits, they have a long decor bill and they will prefer heliconia flowers. That's why the hummingbird feeders doesn't work perfectly for them. Oh, that's a sylph. It just came very quickly, so I really hope that it comes back. It had a long, beautiful purple turquoise tail. At the moment, you have a, well, none right now, but it was a fawn-breasted brilliant there. The only thing that you have to be worried about hummingbird feeders is to keep them perfectly clean, because as you are using a mixture of sugar and water, it gets easily fermented. So that's the only thing. So fawn-breasted brilliant on the right and empress brilliant on the back. That's a female.
Andrea, we're occasionally hearing some lovely bird song in the background. I think that's grey-breasted wood wren. Are you hearing that there?
There were some wrens and there were warblers too. Russet crown warblers that were calling just a minute ago. Gorgeous, that's an angel. Yeah, we have some calls in the back. But just mentioning around the area, we have a height. The place let the light sun through the night, so it attracts some species like wood creepers, tree hunters, foliage gleaners. The light is, as the light comes better, that activity disappears. Oh, that's a warbler in the back, the one that called right now. That's a russet crown warbler. That's probably the call that you mentioned before. There's a couple of females, fawn-breasted brilliants, right now at the feeders. You can see the difference because they have long and heavy bills, and the throat is a little bit stripy.
And Andrea, is there a particularly good time of year to visit to see the hummingbirds, or are they around all the time? Are they affected by the seasons?
It gets a little bit low, the activity around feeders whenever they are nesting, and that usually happens during the transition of wet and dry weather or season. That would be maybe May, June, but it's not that they disappear for completely. That's is something that we just notice because we're here all year round, but it doesn't mean that they are not going to be around the feeders all the time. So the number is a bit reduced, but you're going to still enjoy of the species. So all the year long is good. It's going to be good. As I mentioned before, it just requires a little bit more of patience to get all the species, but they will be around. Conditions are not extremely difficult. Whenever it gets cloudy, it's more difficult for sure. Whenever it gets rainy, usually we have some issues with landslides because I was talking that we are using gravel roads, but it's not going to last during the entire day. So it's just patience. You have to wait a bit longer and then you can keep going. We're moving in, this is Foothills of Andes. So in Quito, we're starting in 2,800 meters and we are maybe 2 hours away from Quito. Usually when you're birding in this area, you start in high elevation, you go to higher points like 3,500 meters, and then you start to descend around the popular Tandayapa Valley. And probably you have heard about the old Mindo road. This is a wonderful spot for birding. And you're going to be moving from place to place, maybe switching 300 meters, 500 meters, and that makes a big difference in a species that you can get. Every 300 meters, there is a change of temperature of 1.5 degrees. So it means that the mountain tanager that you catch maybe an hour ago, you're going not to see it right here, but instead you're going to start find different tropical species. So that's why the biodiversity of the species is fantastic in Northwest. We have a velvet purple coronet right now on the left-hand side. Fawn-breasted brilliant, it's in the back with a beautiful pink throat. Gorgeted sun angel was perched in the back of the branch. Another coronet, the velvet purple coronet, is on the left. We're still waiting for the toucans. We hope that they come. They were earlier here, but they didn't stay for too long, so we really hope that they come. Flower piercers just to scare most of the hummingbirds. We have a new tanager right now. That's a flame-faced tanager in the middle. Look at the contrast, that beautiful orange forehead with a turquoise green around the wings. About the same size of golden. Ecuador is basically divided by Andes in the middle, and then you have west slope and east slope. And there's a fantastic combination of species. For example, flame-faced tanager that we are looking right now in the middle of the screen, and golden that is on the left-hand side. You can also see it on east slope. It means facing the Amazon basin, but the colors change to be a little bit brighter. Like flame face is going to have a sort of red face instead of this orange that you can see right now. We're going to change for the hummingbirds once again. Okay, let's hope that we can have different species. This spot where we are right now, it is one of the, or the only place to get the hoary puffleg, which comes to the feeder. That's going to be a wonderful hummingbirds if we can get it. So I really hope patiently. We have a speckled hummingbird on the left, velvet purple cornets in the back, and then showing us a little bit of the purple color. The masked flower piercer just came again. Flower piercer is the perfect name because it basically makes a hole in the petal of the flower to get the nectar, so it doesn't pollinate the flower. And you can see that it's just balancing the bottle in order to catch any drop of the nectar that falls. Empress Brilliant, that's a male, the huge hummingbird that you can see just the back. But this is one of this and the coronet are two of the species of that are endemics of El Chocó, the bioregion that we were talking earlier.
This is enthralling, Andrea. You're doing a great job with the commentary, keeping us all thoroughly entertained. Ooh.
Look there, look there. Yeah, the very expected bird, the most expected. This is a plate-bill mountain toucan. It's in the same area where we were checking before. Remember where the tanagers were? It was just in the upper branch, just arrived right now. Look, you are familiar with this image before. We had the golden tanagers feeding on the same area.
That's fantastic.
It is, definitely. If you think or you have seen the Birds of Ecuador, the book, the first guidebook that we have, this bird is in the cover of that. Plate-bill mountain toucan. It's the only mountain toucan that lives in northwest of Ecuador.
I'm smiling to myself at the huge amount of banana that toucan has just swallowed down like a gannet. You can almost see it bulging out of its throat. How many bananas are you going to get through, Andrea, in the morning?
They were replaced while we were checking the hummingbird feeders. The owner of the place just replaced for new fruit right now. So they have to do it frequently. I will, we had some bananas hanging before. I will try to show you that.
That's wonderful. I know a few of you watching today have been on birding tours to Ecuador, and I guess a few of you are going to be thinking to yourselves, hang on, when I was in Ecuador, these plate-bill mountain toucan weren't coming down to feeders like this. We had to work much harder. There's a blue cab tanager there. So they haven't been coming down to the bananas for too long, have they, in this spot, Andrea? Just for the last couple of years, I think.
Yeah, this is a fantastic place. As you mentioned before, Andy, to get the plate-bill mountain toucan, you have to walk around trails or the road itself, try to pay attention in the calls or where the birds started to move from tree to tree. Yes, the owner has worked really hard to get them here. We were talking a little bit about the time that it took to attract them to the feeders. And he said that he has been putting bananas for around 10 years. So that's why the place was not too popular, because you could have them once in a while, but from the last 2-3 years, he's working every single day. So this is the best spot to get a plate-bill mountain toucan right now.
So there's some real dedication there. It's not just a case of laying out bananas and these wonderful birds come down. It requires dedication and effort and time. But I think there's a real benefit, isn't there, to these communities? The place you're at, Andrea, let's just be clear, it's not a hotel or a hostel, but if you go birding in Ecuador, you can pay a small entrance fee and you come into this private garden, essentially, enjoy a cup of coffee, and all of these wonderful birds come to you, and your dollars go straight into the local community, so people see the value of ecotourism in that way.
Exactly. It's exactly like you said. There's, especially here in Northwest, because of this wonderful variety of species that we have, is so rich, the ecosystem that allows people to set feeders, to set hummingbird feeders, to set bananas, and it requires patience and a lot of work. It's not like you said that you walk and just put a bottle and it's going to be a rain of birds. No, it takes years, and it has to be done every single day. So it's not that just when visitors come, birds have wonderful memory about the best places to get food. So they start to come day by day. Now there are lots of factors that can affect the place, of course. And some raptors also realize that it's easy food for them too and come. So birds can be scared about them. You have to be careful not to be too noisy. It also helps a lot. And you have to be careful with photography and flash too. Some species don't mind, but some other species are quite sensible about that. But yeah, the income goes to, it's just a little entrances fees usually that the people charge, and then you can enjoy a cup of local coffee while you watch birds. That's why I was talking about the rainy time. It just requires patience, but you can get these as a nice shelter, enjoy your birds while the weather improves, and then you keep walking around to get some more species. Not all the species are going to be attracted to bananas or feeders. That's why you have to still do birding in different spots, but the ones that you can see right now are fantastic. Good enough to spend the day if it's rainy or too cloudy to keep walking.
Yeah, you touched on the mix there that makes up a typical birding tour in the Andes, a nice mix between what I call easy birding, set piece birding like this, where you can relax, get your camera and tripod out, have a cup of coffee, shelter from the rain, and the birds come to you. Mixed up with, as you say, Andrea, walks up cloud forest ridges and walking to see what you encounter. So a really nice mix of activities on a birding tour.
Definitely, as I was mentioning, there's not a specific time to get them, so it's just patient, especially the breaks where you're taking your meals or after the walks. You just spend a couple of minutes in front of the feeders, and there will be nice things to spot, to take photographs. Light changes the whole time, so sometimes the afternoon is good too. Sometimes it's better than the morning for taking photographs or to see details that you couldn't see earlier in the morning. Clouds can be challenging, of course, but it is just patience, as I mentioned before. And you usually spend several days in Northwest, so you're going to experience all this process. We're back to the hummingbirds right now. We have speckled hummingbirds on the left. We have a couple of brilliant showing us the back and on the right-hand side. Just like the bananas, the owner has to refill the bottles plenty of times. It is not just one feeder that has been set. We just remove the rest of them to get better views of the species. So usually the feeders are distributed around. And it's very interesting because sometimes you have 8, 10 feeders, but they will always have or like to have food from the same bottle. So you can see sometimes hummingbirds drinking 2 or 3 from the same little hole. It's just a preference.
Andrea, have you had any guiding through the pandemic over the past year? Have you been doing much guiding? And if not, how have you been making a living?
No, not at all. I'm from Quito. I live in Quito. I live with my family. So I've been trying to do little stuff, selling things through internet, but just little details for daily stuff. Not that's it. No, I haven't done any kind of trips. Well, there are people is just starting to come to Ecuador, but as you know, every country is working with different regulations, so it's still hard for us to really define the time when it's going to start again. So I'm also very pleased to come back here. As I mentioned earlier, this is Cloud Forest is second home for me. So I'm very pleased to join you in this trip and also to enjoy your birds. You can never be bored or tired of hummingbirds. You can spend the whole day, and even when you have seen the species hundreds, thousands of times, it's going to be very satisfying.
So woodpecker.
We'll start with hummingbird feeders again. There you go. We have a couple of cornets. And we have a speckled hummingbird coming to the feeder again. Bobtail cornet is on the left-hand side, velvet purple cornet in the back. We do have a couple of hummingbirds around Quito. You just have to have a little bush with nice flowers and you get them, but just 1 or 2 species. Well, when you come here, this is paradise. You can see lots of different species and are very interesting too, besides of their beauty. It's just to watch the behavior of them is wonderful. Are very territorial also, they keep fighting, defending the area where they are feeding too. Sometimes are not paying any attention of any predator around, so I can be easily preyed by jays, for example, sometimes the toucan, sometimes bigger tanagers. Life expectancy is not bad, it's 3-4 years, depending of the species and the size.
Bird tour leading has traditionally been a male bastion. There aren't enough female tour leaders out there, but we've got some fantastic leaders in South America, yourself in Ecuador, Andrea Beltran in Colombia, and Cecilia Herrera, 3 spring to mind, in Venezuela. Unfortunately, Venezuela's closed for business at the moment. But would you have any words of encouragement to any young female birders that would want to get involved in tour leading?
Oh, definitely. My experience has been wonderful. As you mentioned before, you have hardly ever you have female leaders running trips. It is a fantastic life, definitely, just to keep going. It is challenging, but like in any other area for women. So I definitely will try to encourage young girls, especially. It's like a sort of general knowledge that some jobs have been done or developed for a specific gender, but it is not true at all. Physical capacities are about the same thing. The knowledge is also the same. The thing of being traveling, it is challenging, but it's also very rewarding. So it just creates you a different view of the world, definitely, by traveling and by learning, by sharing with people these experiences. One of the most wonderful things that I have where I'm leading trips, it is just to see the way that people get all the things that we're living, like nature around us. People interpreting all these things in different ways. So that just expands your knowledge, definitely, and the way that you see things.
Oh, is Euphonia there?
Oh, yes, that's a different bird right now. We have a Euphonia, that's an orange-bellied Euphonia. Look at the throat, it's all dark. So that's an orange-bellied Euphonia. We have the golden-naped tanagers. And a blue-capped tanager that we didn't see it too well before. You have the bright yellow thighs. If you compare it with size, this is definitely larger than the golden tanager. This blue-capped tanager it's more likely to find in a higher elevation.
Interesting comment from Ian Murray. Hello, Ian, good to have you with us. I know you've been to Ecuador with us on our Cock of the Rock trip. Ian says, I've not been anywhere outside the UK where I've been more aware of the whole community investing so much into birds. And I agree with you, Ian, we'd hate to lose the goodwill, that goodwill that's been built up to the pandemic, because now you have these communities in places like Mindo who are reliant on ecotourism. And we as an international birding community can't wait to be back.
That's a white-sided flower piercer on the left, the light brown color bird. That's a female white-sided flower piercer that just flew off. Yeah, as I mentioned before, and you also said, there's a lot of people that is, while doing these feeding stations, they are also supporting the conservation, because they get aware that the importance of preserved little patches of forest, because it's a surrounding of secondary that has been open for cattle grazing, for example. So they understand how important it's to get better patches of forest and all the life that will bring that.
Neil Pont, is this where nature stay? As I mentioned earlier, this isn't a hotel, Birdwatcher's house. It's just a garden that you pay to go in, enjoy some birding. But we do stay locally in the village at another lodge called Sachatamia. And actually, we're doing a live presentation from there. I think it's on the 30th of April, back with Manuel Sanchez, one of our other tour leaders. And there'll be a different selection of birds there. So do try and sign up and join us on the 30th at the hotel where we actually stay.
Yes, totally right. It is different in elevation. That's definitely lower, like 600 meters lower than here. So birds will be different. Well recommended to join. You're going to see different stuff.
Yeah, Phil Deeming asks, when do hummingbirds nest? Andrea, we're very used to a very tightly defined breeding season here in Europe, but do hummingbirds in Ecuador breed over a larger period of time, or is there a distinct season?
It is a couple of months. It's not as specific. As I mentioned, we don't have seasons, so and things have changed a lot about weather in Ecuador the last years. So we still have that transition from rainy to sunny. I would say May, June, a couple of months. You just notice that easier because the activity, as I said before, it's a bit reduced. If you walk around trails, you're going to see females working, catching spider webs in order to build nests. because that's the material that they use. But it's not a specific, definitely not a specific. It depends a lot. The breeding time depends a lot on the source of food. But if the weather conditions are not good, you're not going to have ripe fruit for too long. So it's changeable, very changeable. We're back to the hummingbirds with coronets and a gorgeous sun angel in the back. And a violet-tailed seal that tries to come closer, but it doesn't stay for too long. We haven't seen that very well, so I really hope that it comes back. If you check on the right-hand side of your screen, there's a hummingbird with a sort of purple-pink throat. That's an Empress Brilliant. It's not the best view, but you can see the iridescent just in the forehead, around the breast a little bit too. Bright green, almost yellow. Well, it moved to the left. You can see the length of the tail is different from the coronets. It has a heavier bill too. There's always a species that is really common in the area. In this case, it's the buff-tailed coronet. You're going to see it all around, while there are some that just comes for seconds and leave the feeders. You heard in the back, there was a loud groan. It's Playbill mountain toucan in the back. Toucans are some of the iconic birds of the tropics, endemics from Americas. They come in different size. We have tropical toucans in the lower lands, the Amazon basin, down on west too, but mountain toucans, they live in foothills of Andes. You have that fantastic long bill, but it's not that heavy as it looks. It kind of balances perfectly with the body. And the composition of the bill is like, it's made out of keratin, so the same substance of nails and hair. So it's kind of the shape and the structure, it's almost like a honeycomb, and it works perfectly to regulate temperature of them. Usually are very colorful. They look wonderful, lovely birds, but when they are in groups, they can be the mean species of the area. If they find a good tree with ripe fruit, they are not going to abandon until finish almost everything from it, and are not going to let the other species to come any close. And they are sort of opportunistic omnivores too. So they are not just feeding on fruit. They are also going to get different things, amphibians, reptiles, sometimes eggs. They steal eggs from some other nest, and once in a while the chicks of different species or other species, like tanagers, like small tanagers.
I think the toucan might be back. Would you mind switching over to Pancho's camera? I think I saw it flick in the back there.
Yes, there it is. Maybe mountain toucan. Look at the colors, the combination of the colors. Whenever you think in toucans, you're thinking orange, black, white. Those are in lower lands, usually Amazon basin. But this one has such a fantastic combination. Look at it. It almost took the entire banana. They move in little groups, 2-3 birds. You can find flocks of 5-9 individuals moving together. Are very loud. That's one of the ways that you know they're around. When they fly, they are not the most graceful, so make a sort of strange noise with their wings. It's like it's a sort of helicopter coming towards you. They love to be in tall trees. There's a species of tree named Cecropia here where they can easily get perched and hold the fruit. The long bill is actually a nice tool to get food. It helps to them to grab fruit that is just holding from the taller trees. But as I mentioned, they are sort of opportunistic about food. There's a time when, especially when it's rainy, there are giant earthworms coming out to the surface on roads or trails. They don't have any issue to go down on the ground and catch one of them. Perfect view of the Playbill mountain toucan.
He is wolfing down those bananas. And actually, I touched on this, Andrea, that you must get through a lot of bananas every day. And in fact, Claire McCormick has just asked this exact question: how many bananas do you get through a day at Birdwatcher's house? Is it cratefuls?
In a day, we were just talking with the owner here, and he said around 60 bananas per day. So this is a full-time job. As we were talking before, this is something that requires a lot of patience. Even when we don't have visitors, they have to feed the birds.
And we saw the toucan actually drop some bananas. It was greedily gobbling some of it up. And Peter Hassett is asking, have we got any ground feeding birds underneath the feeders, which should be making the most of any dropped food?
Once in a while, there are some warblers, brush finches, not a lot. Sometimes the same tanagers just go down and catch the same little piece, but once in a while, especially those finches, brush finches are the ones that catch the little pieces. Warblers, sparrows. This is a different type of banana, by the way. It's not the silk banana that we have for breakfast. It's a heavier and sweeter species. We have a bunch of species of bananas, different varieties. So the ones that are used around feeders are different. It's more likely the banana that we use for making banana bread. Compare the size of the toucan with the golden tanager on the right. So toucan is 42 centimeters. And the tanager, the golden tanager, is 13 centimeters. Talking about weather and the light, it has improved a lot. So it's warmer right now, it's nicer. You can see the sun shining around the bananas and reflecting the birds. We have, we're now in 12 degrees centigrade. So definitely warmer if we compare it when we started at 7 a.m. We're just showing you a little bit of, oh, look at the seal. Oh, it just flew off. It's sitting in the back. You can see a bit of turquoise and purple on the head and a long tail. I really hope it comes back. It's just a little piece of the property that we're showing you, but as we mentioned, there's an area where they have that height that definitely works early in the morning, but they are very aware of photography and the importance of the species. So they have a type of reflecting pool where you can get some beautiful shots where the bird is feeding, and then you have the reflection of the water, and it comes really nice in photography. Look at it, speckled hummingbirds with the sun shining. It has changed and it's showing you a little bit more of brown and green.
Well, that's great, Andrea. I can't believe we've already gone past 45 minutes already, folks. And it's been wonderful spending this time just watching all of these birds with you. Oh, look at that sylph there. That's just fantastic.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's a wonderful view right now. Look at the tail, the different tones of purple, turquoise almost.
Oh, it's beautiful, absolutely stunning. Folks, we don't want to keep you because we said that this is a 45-minute session. We will stay on for another 10 or 15 minutes or so until 2 o'clock UK time for those of you who are desperate to keep watching, but I know some of you need to nip off perhaps. And I did mention at the start of the virtual tour that there'll be an opportunity to tip at the end of today's tour. So I'm just popping the link into the chat function now. If you can't tear yourself away right now to click on the link, that's absolutely fine. I'll be emailing it around to all of you this afternoon along with a bird list of the birds that we have seen during the tour. And Christine says has summarized this session quite succinctly. She says it's absolutely mesmerizing, which I totally agree with.
Voy a caminar un poquito con la compu. So now that I can move a little bit with the computer now that is the toucan flew off, and I can show you a little bit of the distances. We were talking about feeders, bananas, and local flowers. So I'm going to show you a bit to give you an idea how close you can get. We're going to switch for this screen. Okay, so here we have the banana feeders. You can see that we have been transmitting with a cell phone attached, and I'm moving a bit more to the right, And we have the banana feeder. There's some tanagers around there. I'm probably 2-3 meters away from them. This is the same branch where the toucan has been. We were talking about native flowers too. So if I can move in a little bit more, we have beautiful verbenas over here, where hummingbirds also come. I'm going to show you the entrance of the place where we have some bromelias. Bromelias also are great for the birds. We have a couple of, oh, sun is shining, sorry. We have a couple of species of flowers with a perfect shape for a hummingbird. And some more other feeders too. And we are next to the entrance of the gravel road. So I'm approaching to the bananas, and you probably can see the toucan. I'm sure that the image is not going to be as perfect as before, but just to give you an idea, I'm standing right in front of the toucan.
Oh yeah, we just saw him hop onto the branch there.
I'm holding the computer, so as I mentioned before, the image is not going to be perfect, but just to give you an idea. This looks a bit smaller, it looks like a young toucan. Ooh, this is catching a huge piece of banana, too much for it. And back to the hummingbirds. Yeah, now we're going to switch the toucan again so you can enjoy it better with a nice screen. Maybe a mountain toucan. I just read something quickly about cornets. Yeah, there are different species of, these are all hummingbirds, but depending on the size, the shape of bill, the place where they live, if it's higher lands or lower lands, they are separated in groups. So we have groups of cornets, we have groups of brilliants, groups of sylphs, groups of hermits, groups of different species, but they are all hummingbirds. Just changes the size, shape of the bill, place where they live.
I'm smiling to myself again, Andrea, watching that toucan. He's accidentally knocked off a load of the banana and he can't be bothered to reach it, so he's just moved on to the next banana.
Yeah, looks a bit smaller. I think it's a younger toucan. That's why it's not the most grateful while it's taking the banana. And it's a little bit greedy about the food too.
So we've been talking so much, Andrea, of course, about birds today, which has been the focus of today's virtual tour, but you presumably have mammals around there as well, squirrels, agouti, kinkajous. Is that the sort of thing you have?
Yeah, exactly. Mammals here in Northwest are not the easiest to see. We do have coatis, kinkajous. We have that recent discovered mammal, the olinguito, that is very similar to a kinkajou, but is probably one of the last reported mammals discovered in South America. They usually come at dusk. So come sometimes around the bananas. Tairas are also around. Pecaris sometimes deep in the forest. But some mammals are things that are species that you're going to see once in a while. It's definitely for mammals, the place will be the Amazon basin because of natural isolation. They are more protected. That's the time to talk about monkeys, for example, tapirs or different. Northwest, it's harder for mammals. We do have some, but they are not the easiest. There are lots of reports of camera traps for ocelots. A spectacled bear lives here too. So species, yes, we do have them, but are not the easiest to see.
Really enjoyed this, Andrea. I can tell you that mine and Sarah's nature colleagues are all watching, bar about 2 people that are on phone duty, unfortunately for them. We've had about 550 people on today, and we're getting some fantastic comments coming through from how much people have enjoyed it. Some of you are asking, why aren't we charging? Well, we want to make it free to everybody. As Sarah says, if you're able to leave a tip or donation, I can't tell you how much that's appreciated by our local teams. We've raised some much needed cash via the virtual tours we've operated so far. So if you can follow Sarah's link and leave a tip or donation, rather than us having to charge for these sessions, that would be greatly appreciated. We have extra virtual tours lined up in the coming 2 to 3 weeks in Ecuador again, 2 more tours in Ecuador, high up in the Andes, at Antisana, and also one in Mindo towards the end of the month. We're also back in Spain, and 2 more tours in Panama lined up with extra plans, but it's not easy to lay these on. We need stable 3G and 4G coverage. We need an adept local team, technically comfortable with the technology. It's not as if we can just pick a destination and suddenly lay on a virtual tour. An enormous amount of hard work goes on behind the scenes, but we've had great fun putting these together, and we're enormously appreciative of all of your kind comments. Andrea, you've done a fantastic job today with commentary. Really enjoyed it and what you've been able to bring to us. I think what we'll do, we'll wind things up at 2 o'clock UK time. That's 5 minutes time. And in the 5 minutes to come, we will just see what else comes in, see if we can pick up a collodinka or some other new species.
We're going to switch camera for the hummingbirds. There you go. Yeah, we're going to leave the camera on here with the hummingbirds so you can enjoy a little bit more of them. For us, it has been a pleasure. We are team working to get some of these images right now. We have been switching cameras and trying to give you the best image. Of course, it's still nature, so things come and go. But thank you a lot for giving us a little bit of your time to share a bit of our country while you are able to travel again, that we all hope that it can be soon. It is not the same, definitely.
Have a lot of people, Andrea, who want to come and visit. We're getting some lovely comments here. People saying they can't wait to travel again, can't wait to come and visit. And I can't believe I'm going to have to go back to work after this. It's been fantastic. I mean, I'm saying that myself, but it's just been a fantastic way to spend an hour. And all of the tours that we have coming up over the next few weeks, which Andy has just outlined, I'll send a link to the virtual tours page and an email to all of you this afternoon, so you can sign up to any more on there. And a lovely comment has just come in saying, thank you very much, the best yet, best tour that you've done yet, from Jill Peachy. Thanks very much, Jill. Really appreciate that. As Andy says, we put a lot of effort into the technology and doing lots of trials and making sure it all works well.
And do please share the concept with your friends. We've just upgraded our Zoom license to enable up to 1,000 people to join us on a session. As I say, we've got about 550 people on today, we think. So we would love to max out and have to upgrade our membership again. So please send the information to any birding groups you're members of, or friends and family. Oh, there's a brownie.
Yeah.
Browninka in the back. A new species for us. Spread the word, please, folks. Spread the word. To those of you asking if we're going to make the recording available, we have put a lot of thought into this, but I think our conclusion is we want to preserve the immediacy of the event. You've got to be on board to enjoy it. And there's so much content these days on social media and on YouTube particularly. We think somehow the magic and the essence of these virtual tours will be lost if we record them and make them publicly available. So if someone can't make a particular session because they're working and want to email us directly, we can send a link, but we won't be posting the links up on a public domain. We want to keep it personal and interactive with those of you that are on in real time. Is there a hummingbird actually perched on the iPhone there? I think a bird actually perched on the camera.
I think so, yeah. It had its wing over the end.
Yes.
Well, for me today, it's been a trip back to the cloud forest. I almost feel as if I've been there. And I think a lot of you will feel the same if you've been birding in Ecuador. And I hope we've whetted the appetites of those of you that might be persuaded to go to Ecuador one day. It's a fantastic destination, friendly, safe, small travel distances, great hospitality, and the birding, well, as you've seen today, it's absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, think about Ecuador as a short summary of South America. Definitely one of the most friendly destinations. As you mentioned, short distances. You have just a couple of hours of driving and you can switch easily from Andes down to the coast, the Amazon basin. Besides, we have Galapagos. You're not going to starve in Ecuador. We're wonderful in food. We have fresh fruit. Gastronomy in general is fantastic. You can enjoy of things like special soups or different kinds of grains. So it's worth it, like in so many ways that it's hard to describe.
That's great. Well, we could stay here all day, couldn't we, Andy?
Yeah.
But we'll leave it there, folks. So thank you all so much for joining. Andrea, thank you to you and the team, and Pancho for coordinating the camera. It's been absolutely fantastic. We hope to see you again at the next one, which is on Monday in Spain. And I'll send a link to all of you so you can join that if you're interested. We'll see you the next time. And thank you very much. Have a good weekend, all.
Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye, everybody.